What's up, all you hunks, punks, and drunks? Welcome to The Highway with Kyle Shutt. I am your host, Kyle Shutt. And I'm here to talk to one of my favorite guitar players, Mr. Ben McLeod from All Them Witches. One of the few people that's actually pranked me on tour and gotten away with it. I can't get enough of that band. We got into some ridiculously good times with the tour that we did with them and Cadaver. We're going to talk all about it. If you've been liking what you've been hearing on the program, go ahead and follow us where you can. Smash that subscribe button on the YouTube page. You know this all helps us out more than you know. Maybe you don't know. The internet's weird, folks. If you want to go one step further and help the show out, you can find us at patreon.com/thehighway. Get yourself some exciting perks, like early access to next week's episode. Get yourself a shout out like my dog Jody Giordano, or Rocky Moon, or Colton Waite, or Marte Pedersen. I really just like saying that name. And you know we got to give some mad love to our sponsors, Heil Sound. If you like the way I sound, it's because there's a Heil in front of me. Now, I could talk all day long. But I'd rather listen to Ben, so let's do things my way.
The Highway.
Hey, Ben, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Ben McLeod, everybody, from All Them Witches and more.
And more.
How's life treating you, man?
Life is great. Actually, back in July, my wife and we moved to Florida, which is where I'm from originally.
Wow, whereabouts?
St. Augustine, Florida.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's a little beach town. It actually, the downtown is super hip. It's like
I know. I actually know. Yeah, it's like almost like a theme park, kind of like colonial fort kind of thing. I love St. Augustine.
Yeah. It's the nation's oldest city,
and it's like all the streets are like super narrow. Like there's no like car traffic or anything like that. You know, like it's all like foot traffic, just walking around little shops and stuff like that. I've been to the St. George's bar down there in that little area, just like a real shitty dive bar in the middle of this like tourist trap. God, I love St. Augustine. What are you doing there?
So we, obviously I was living in Nashville for 10 years. My wife was living there for about 8 years, and it was an amazing time in our lives. Like, obviously, met Parks and Robbie in the band and played a bunch of music and recorded a bunch of music with a lot of friends along the way, and it just kind of had run its course. Like, it wasn't that typical Nashville story where you're like, oh, I'm just so over Nashville, I gotta get the hell out of here. Like, no, it was, we were just ready to move on to the next stage of our life, and we wanted to be back near the ocean. So because we had no touring in all of 2020, we finally had time to actually make a huge life-changing move. Because our life was in Nashville. Like, everything was there.
Yeah.
And so we chose St. Augustine because it's where I'm from originally, and it's actually where me and my wife met. She went to college here. And then my mom and my dad live here, and we're trying to convince basically both my family and my wife's family to move down here so we can be one. It'll be like that show Parenthood.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried doing that too, but my family is hopelessly rooted in their small Texas towns that they will never leave. So you couldn't pay me to live there. So oh well, I tried.
Yeah.
But good for you, man. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
God, what a beautiful city.
I know, it's awesome.
What's the island over there? Because I live in a 30-foot Airstream travel trailer, and I've been through there before. There's Anastasia Island.
Yes, I think
is like right on the other side of the bay, I guess, from St. Augustine. So yeah, I've stayed right on the beachfront there. It's just gorgeous.
Man, you've definitely been here. That's awesome.
I know. It's when you have a home on wheels, you can just Go where the wind takes
Yeah.
you.
I will show you all the cool places to go if you ever drive through again.
I'm in Savannah, Georgia right now, which isn't too far.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
there.
I'm not just making this up, but if we didn't have roots in St. Augustine, I think that the place that we would have ended up would be Savannah.
It's just beautiful here. The Spanish moss hanging from the whole city. The whole city itself, just you feel like you're in a movie when you're here. It's probably the closest I think I've felt to being in like a quaint European village.
Yep.
Walking around in the States. Besides like maybe Miami or maybe New Orleans. New Orleans is kind of played out though.
Yeah. I mean, Savannah feels like a nice town in the Netherlands, sort of. Mm-hmm. But like, southern Spanish moss, stuff like that.
Yeah, love it. Well, I could talk about cities all day, but let's talk about touring to them, because at one point I had been nowhere, and making that decision of just leaving your whole life behind and jumping in a van and going to see the world was, I think, one of the best decisions I ever made. You just find yourself in situations that you would have never otherwise been in if you would have just stayed in one place your whole life. What made you what was the allure that made you want to pick up a guitar and get in a van and just say bye to everything?
Yeah, actually, man, that is such a good question, because first of all, I feel the same exact way. I couldn't imagine my life had I not started to play in a touring band, and it's just unreal the amount of stuff that you get to see, the just gobs of people that you meet along the way.
Yep.
It's been the most amazing life experience. I know you can say the same exact thing. So we had actually in my hometown, we had one venue where touring bands played, and it was called Cafe 11. And it was obviously there were like these some smaller, crappier places where just like crappy Florida punk bands would like come through. But as far as like a real touring band venue that was like 150 or 200 cap, I think you guys played there. It's called Cafe 11
in St. Augustine.
Yes.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Florida's tough for touring bands because it's to really dip down in there, it's a real commitment. You have to like either have one full day off to get really far down in there, or one full day off to get out. And if you're not, playing, you're paying. So we tried to make it down there once every 3 or 4 years, and the shows were always banging. I don't remember playing St. Augustine, but I've been wrong before about playing shows. But St. Augustine's not that tough because it's pretty much near the Georgia border. I mean, kind of. It's really north anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. But so I started to go to like shows, actual touring bands who were on like record labels and stuff. They would come through this C Market venue called Cafe 11. C Market meaning, like New York is A.
Yeah.
We'll say Chicago is B or something.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
We call them tertiary.
Yes.
Yeah, tertiary markets.
So anyway, these bands would come into town and they'd play this like little venue, and they'd all be in their 15-passenger vans with like trailer, and I was like, I have to do that. Like that is going to be my life. Like I have to do that. In fact, I went to college and I was supposed to be a print journalist, and I was like, you know what? After college, I'm not going to start working with my major, like right away. I'm just going to move to Nashville and like meet like-minded musicians, because at the time in my hometown, there weren't a lot of like-minded musicians. And what I mean is like, yes, a lot of other people play bass, they play guitar,
right? They
play drums, but do they want to get in a van and, go on the road for 6 weeks?
Yeah, that's tough to find people like that are all on the same page.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to move to Nashville and hopefully meet a band, and my only goal was to just be in a touring band and like ride around in a 15-passenger van. And I would say that I definitely met that goal. I can die happy.
Well, it's funny too, because like back then, like even in the early days of like when you first hop in a van and stuff like that, that's all it takes for you to be completely satisfied. You know what I mean? It's funny how like the more time goes on and people grow and stuff like that, the more the demands kind of like, you know, kind of creep in and stuff like that. But back in those days, you're just like, I'm eating a 99-cent Frito pie that I made from the chili cheese machine at the 7-Eleven. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I've got a floor to sleep on. I'm totally fine. This is the life, you know? How much weed do we have? Perfect. You know?
Yeah. I think some of the best mornings I've ever had in my life is just waking up in the van, like rolling into a gas station and getting coffee and having a cigarette. Just fresh out of the van. Like, this is life.
Yeah, right.
This is awesome.
A lot of bands, I mean, we can talk about touring anywhere in the world, but I've noticed that kind of bands more in like the heavy psych scene, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they can do way better in Europe than they can in the States, or sometimes the States can be a lot harder to break for them. Or a lot of times I've talked to bands that couldn't even exist if it wasn't for their European fan base. That was kind of like their bread and butter for a while. What was y'all's experience like? Just Europe versus the U.S. And all that.
Yeah, I mean we still kind of struggle with the U.S. You know, it's funny. It's funny because I have a theory about why European shows for rock bands are so much more successful, which I'll explain. But yeah, Europe kind of started for us. We signed to this print copy record deal. It was only for print copies of vinyl for our first record on this German label called Electrohash, and they have this nice kind of cult following and very deep rooted and like this stoner rock, stoner metal scene, psych kind of stuff. Everybody who listens to that kind of music, you know, they know this label, and they know this band called Color Haze who runs the label, and so they agreed to put out the album, and stuff just kind of took off. Like on our first European tour, we were, I mean, granted, we're only booking like 150 capacity rooms, but we were selling out like almost every night on our first European tour.
That's awesome.
And still playing to the opening band and bartenders in America.
The States are big. You know what I mean? And to get from show to show, that's a commitment. You have to beat it down. You know, it takes a decade sometimes. Yeah, to do that. In Europe, you can really kind of like pick and choose your markets. Yeah, I think I'm not an expert. The sort always, our territory was the States. I mean, like we really did the work here. We did the work in Europe too, and it wasn't like it was bad. It was just like it was about the same. The cost of it couldn't really justify spending more time over there than in the States or anything like that. But we had plenty of fans over there. But it's just so expensive or it can be to tour Europe depending on how you do it.
Oh yeah,
and your routing and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's unreal looking at your balance sheet at the end of a European tour. Like how did we spend that much money?
Yeah. If we could have bought a house, we could have just straight up bought a house.
I know.
And we could all live there. And yeah.
But anyway, so my theory, so in Europe, first of all, rock bands, they don't have to compete with country music. And they don't, you know, say what you will.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And yes, like hip hop and like rap and stuff, they're popular worldwide, but it is definitely, I think, more of a thing in the States. So a rock band doesn't have to compete with, you know, huge hip hop artists and country music. So that's one thing that we have going for us over in Europe. And then the other thing, how many times have you gone to a show in Europe and the headliner gets on at midnight?
Oh, yeah.
Never.
Yeah, that's
a
really good point too.
Every time we headline the States, you know, or at least when you're starting off and you're doing like smaller shows, 300 capacity and under, there's like, 3 local bands opening or some shit like that. It's like, we're getting on at like 11:30 or sometimes midnight on a Tuesday.
Right.
And then in Europe, the headliner, there were nights where we would be on by 8:30. So more people can go to shows in Europe because they can work all day. They can get to the venue and they can catch the headliner and be home by 11. And then
It's like they knew what they were doing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and small punk venues in Nashville are like the worst with that. Like
I remember playing the End, in Nashville and
yeah.
going on at like 1:30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. It's just ridiculous sometimes how that could get pushed back. How did that happen? Who made those decisions?
Yeah, it's like, let's just wait a little longer for 5 possible more people to show up.
That was the classic, 15 minutes. Let's push it back 15 minutes. Give some more people some time to get here. I mean, some cities that makes sense. Like in New Orleans, a lot of people don't even leave their house until 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the most part, in Wichita, Kansas, on a Tuesday, like you say, like why are we going on at 1 a.m?
Yeah. Anyway.
But very, very good points. A lot of times too, bands will talk about like how much better they get treated by European promoters or something like that, and sometimes it can be. Every band has a different idea of what proper treatment is, I suppose. But usually it consists of like, we were fed, they gave us a place to stay, we were paid well, like this and that, you know what I mean? It was a lot more cutthroat in the States where like, sometimes you have to fight to even get your, $5 for your meal buyout, or, you get that, bar that doesn't want to kick down a 12-pack of beer or something like that, when I'm like, I know how much money you're making tonight off of our sold out show. Just like give us the damn bottle of whiskey, or something like that. It can be like very adversarial at times, which I think is really unfortunate because like we're all in this together, and that's not the case every time, because we definitely had clubs that just treat us like kings. And that shows, that reflects in your performance and your desire to come back to that city and stuff like that. I've never understood that adversarial kind of relationship in the States, because it's more than just the clubs. It happens with like record labels. It almost seems like, and it might be left over from the 90s, where it's like this mentality of like, we signed to a record label and they're like the evil enemy and like they're out to screw us, but y'all are the ones that signed the contract. Why are we all acting like that? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's unfortunate. Was that your experience at all, or did y'all kind of come after that wave of bullshit?
I think that as soon as you pull up to a venue, you know what the night is going to be like based on the promoter, based on the bathrooms, based on what your green room looks like. We pulled up to, and like it still happens even with bigger clubs. There's awful vibes and you just get treated like shit.
It's true.
We played this place in Silver Lake not too long ago. I think it was called Echoplex or something.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care if anyone at the venue hears this, but they were so rude and like literally the worst vibes that we have ever felt at a venue. It was awful.
I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. It was a sold out show, and there was like every time you'd ask somebody at the venue for something, it was like you were putting them out. Like they were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you come in here and sell out a show. This is stupid, like so unhappy. And you can leave that in there.
No, I'm gonna chime in too. The I think it was called the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We had this exact same experience where it's like, we sold the show out there, and we just got treated like such shit that at the end of the night we almost got into a fist fight with the club manager, and the owner had to come in and she kind of smoothed everything out. But I mean, it was just like, I don't understand why people can flare up like that. And then it's like, they're, sometimes they can be like, well, we're in here every day. Like, you're not the only band that sells this place out. We sell out every show that's in here. It's like, well, then why are you acting like a dick? Like, it sounds to me like you got it pretty good.
Yeah.
You got a really successful business. Why don't you lighten the fuck up? I don't know. Like, it's people's, It's that hipster fucking like barista attitude that they bring into a rock club. There's no place for that.
No,
man. Go work the door at a fucking college beer hall if you want to act like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there's the polar opposite where it's like you can't believe how well you're being treated. All this stuff, you're just psyched. Everyone's amping. It definitely makes it more fun. It is up to a club, not the band. I think it's mainly up to the club how the night is gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
got any favorites?
My favorite club. Oh yeah, I mean Exit In, of course.
Well, yeah.
In Nashville.
Awesome
Club. Okay, so like not in Nashville, I would say. Let me think.
Dun dun dun. Heat is on. I don't know what mine would be. I don't know. I've had to play too many shows. Probably mine would probably be Numos in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
I think that's my favorite club of all time. I've never played a show there that wasn't sold out.
Yeah.
With the Sword or my solo band, for that matter, it was just the vibe in there. They just treat you right.
We played.
It's a cool part of town, all that stuff.
Do you remember the show that we played there? So it was on our tour with you guys. So for everyone listening, listen to this lineup. It was the Sword, Cadaver, Windhand, Monolord, All Them Witches, and Donova.
Sick lineup.
All in one night. Am I missing any?
I think that was because it was 2 3-band bills that were playing Seattle the same night that they combined into one giant show. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
I think that was a little bit after. I was gonna say like that was right around the time weed was legalized too. So that was for the first time we could just like walk around on the street just like with weed in our pockets, not worrying about getting arrested or anything like that. But isn't it funny how, I don't know, when the Sword first started, all drugs were illegal, and now in Portland, like cocaine is legal and shit like that.
Yeah,
I mean? We're like drugs are so like not like bad anymore or whatever. You're not like a bad boy if you like do drugs or smoke weed or whatever. Like you used to have to do some sketchy shit to get drugs on tour. I mean, you still do kind of sometimes in places, but for the most part, it's a little bit easier than you don't have to like get on a bus, go to some weird part of town and meet some dude, named, Chavez or something like that, and like all these are real stories, like you used to like you don't know if you're gonna make it back to the club in time, all just to get some drugs. I don't know, it seems kind of silly now when you say it, but at the time it was really important. We need those drugs. Lord, weed. Man, I got to talk about one of my it's one of the funnier pranks that's ever happened, because when you tour a lot, there's a lot of boredom, there's a lot of downtime, and sometimes depending on how much of a wise ass you are or how much you like to fuck with other people, you can get into some pretty awesome pranks. And one of the best pranks I ever saw. I kind of have to paint the backdrop for this story. So we were playing Salt Lake City, which already I love Salt Lake City. It took us a long time to break that city and to get a lot of fans there and stuff, but it's anywhere where there's like a super overarching, like oppressive religious kind of governmental just entity, there's always a really strong counterculture, and if you can tap into that, then you can do really well in places like that. And so we had done really well, but we were playing Salt Lake City on Halloween against King Diamond and Garth Brooks.
Yep.
So it's just like why are we even here? Can I just go to the Garth Brooks show? Like, can we just cancel this and somebody get me in there, please? And but we played. The show went on. How are you going to go up against King Diamond on Halloween? But there was a lot of people there, and that was on the Cadaver All Them Witches tour. And a big fan of both those bands. I really enjoyed going to see all the opening bands that we had out. A band brings out opening bands to get them psyched, and just bands that they like and that they want to see every night to get them pumped to play their show. And so I went out to to watch you guys, and you know, I smokes a bit, I drinks a bit, and sometimes when I'm watching a band, I don't necessarily watch the band. I'll look at them for a second to be like, okay, that's what they look like, and then I usually end up watching the crowd. I like to people watch, and I'm real observant of like a room and the energy in the room and stuff like that. So I wasn't necessarily looking at y'all all the time, but I was standing right there kind of playing, and then I just kind of noticed you, and you had like a wig on, but the stage lighting, like the whole room was purple, so it looked like you had a purple wig on, and I was like, oh, that's funny, I guess he's like wore a wig for Halloween or whatever. And then like more time went by, a couple songs, and I kind of looked more like closely at you, and I was like, oh, he's got like one of those like tattoo sleeve shirts that you can buy from Hot Topic on. That's funny. And then I look a little bit closer, I'm like, is that motherfucker playing my guitar? And I turn around, and my guitar tech, Dave Grumman, what's up, Dave, if you're listening, he's standing back there just like dying laughing, because apparently it took me like 15 minutes to realize that you were me for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like it was, and I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. Like it was like, it was such a delayed joke, but once it hit home, I was like, put my guitar down.
Yeah. No.
Was that a spur of the moment decision, or were you like planning that for a week or something?
No. I was planning that actually for a long time. So, so our band Touring with the Sword was like, I mean, we were like psyched, so stoked. I remember when we got the email that it was confirmed, we were like literally shitting our pants, and I saw like one of the dates was Halloween, and none of us in the band knew you guys even before the tour. Like never. I don't think we ever talked either.
No, so we met, we found out about you from Nick Cornetti, the drummer of American Sharks. He hipped us to you guys.
Yeah. So I saw that the date was Halloween, and it was like, I don't know this guy, Kyle, but I'm gonna be him on Halloween and at that show, and then like got to be like pretty good friends with y'all's tech, Dave. And so I was kind of putting the bug in his ear. I was like, dude, do you think I can play Kyle's guitar in Salt Lake City? And he was like, yes, dude. He would flip. Yeah, and then got the wig and got the sleeves, because I didn't know what to do with like tattoos. I thought about like drawing them, but we were kind of pressed for time because, you know, the tour.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
literally
you know,
racing to get to venues. So we went to like some, you know, one of Spencer's or something like that. But yeah, it was fun. And in fact, so after I played the guitar, which was sick, the guitar, I think the guitar's name was the Wild Kyle.
Well, yeah, Dave had made me a custom engraved, like a 3-ply truss rod cover that had the top was etched out so you could see the white through the black top, and it said Wild Kyle on it. Yeah, but it was I think it was a 2015 or 2014 Les Paul Studio.
Yes.
That I bought just as a road beater, and yeah.
But yeah, and it had a super distortion in there, and actually in that show I love the pickup so much, and Dave had a spare, and he ended up giving it to me.
Great pickup.
He gave it to me when we, like the next time we went through Austin, I think we actually stayed at Dave's house, and then he was like, hey, here's that pickup. I was like, yes.
Great pickup. My signature Railhammer pickups are actually modeled. The bridge version is modeled after the Super Distortion. It's just a little bit hotter to get the low end to cut through a little more, and
hotter than a Super Distortion.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Nice.
And the neck is kind of modeled around a P90. It's double wound. It's a double wound single coil, but it's just double wound to get that hum out of there. It's still real creamy and real nice, because I played those pickups because that's what Tom Scholes from Boston played. That was his combination.
Nice.
And I just think Boston is one of the sickest guitar tones around. Some people look at me, they're like, man, what's your favorite guitar tone? Is like Sabbath or Slayer? I was like, no, Boston actually.
Yeah.
Like, Boston? What? Like, I mean, listen to, rock and roll band. This shit is fucking sick.
Also, but I don't know if you're a fan of Zevon.
Oh yeah.
But the album Excitable Boy, I guess the guitarist they had, his name was Waddy Wachtel, and that guy, on that album, I think has my favorite guitar tone of all time.
I will go check that out.
Yeah, it's so sick. Listen to Johnny Strikes Up the Band. Some of his licks in there are just so money, and like his tone, it's just this. It's like this throaty, super sick tone. Oh my god, it's incredible. Like turn it up really loud, and the song Johnny Strikes Up the Band by Warren Zevon. Also, Waddy Wachtel, that same guitar player is famous for the digga 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 digga, just like a white-winged dove. Like he's
that guy?
Yeah. Digga 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 digga
Nice.
digga. Killer LA session player.
Now you know. This is why I brought you on the show. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That one reason. Thank you.
Well, and this has happened to me. So after playing in a band forever and kind of going through the ups and downs and just, after over a decade of it and everything, you learn a lot and you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom that you can only get from doing what you did. And we had a lot of bands, much, much bigger bands, just give us a shot whenever we were nobody, and we had a lot of, we worked really hard too. But we took advantage of like every opportunity that came in front of us, and we wouldn't have been able to do what we did if much larger bands hadn't just reached a hand down and brought us up and helped us out. And so I wanted to pass that mentality forward. And that's why I started managing a band that I just thought was incredible, was American Sharks. And I didn't really want to manage a band. It wasn't like something I aspired to, but it was just, I just saw this incredible band and I knew nobody was going to give them a shot if I didn't help them out and just try to get them a record deal and get them some tours and stuff like that. And it was, I'm really glad that I did it. It wasn't like I had all the answers, but I just felt like that I needed to pay that forward. And so whenever, Nick, the drummer of that band, told me about y'all, brought y'all on tour, we had a great time. It's like an instant friendship. I love when bands that don't know each other just meet and just have a blast for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just one of the best things. But then after that, we kept in touch and stuff, and you hit me up. I think it was for the Used Future tour. I think so. And you said, hey man, I'm managing this band. They're called King Buffalo. I know it's a long shot, but if you had any tours that you could throw them on, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to get, break these guys out of Rochester, get them on the road and stuff. And at the time, we were working with, we were booking a tour that we were in contact with like 4 other bands that were going to like open the tour.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's already all these other bands in line, but if anything falls through, I'll give your boys a shot. And every single one of those bands, something happened and they couldn't do the tour. And I was like, all right, King Buffalo, you're up.
That's awesome.
and called them. And we ended up doing, a lot of shows with them. I think they did 2 legs of that tour with us, maybe.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, don't ever be afraid to ask somebody for a favor because you never know when you're going to get that shot. And so how did you end up finding those guys and wanting to manage a band? Was it kind of like a similar situation where you just really dug them and wanted to help them out?
Yeah. So it was kind of a second generation of this band that some of the guys used to be in called Velvet Elvis. And when you start off as a band, you kind of like for me, we didn't have a manager, so I was just like trying to route tours and going on like Bandcamp and just doing Rochester, New York hashtag and Bandcamp, Chicago hashtag.
Yeah.
Literally all day, just emailing bands like, hey, we have a hold at said venue on this Tuesday. Like, do you want to play? And Velvet Elvis, which ended up being King Buffalo, they hit us up, and me and Scott talked on the phone probably for the first time for like half an hour, and which is a long time to talk to a complete stranger.
That's true.
And so, we just hit it off and ended up just doing weekend runs with them. We would meet, in Ohio, North Carolina, and we just kind of clung together. And then Velvet Elvis broke up, but then Scott, the drummer, met the 2 guys who were in this other band, and then they formed King Buffalo. And then the rest is history. But I wanted to help them out just because, Scott and Sean are 2 of my best friends, and I wanted to, try to get them a booking agent and, some like tours and stuff like that. So I gave them a deadline. I was like, it was like the beginning of the year, and I was like, I will do my best to manage you until October. So it was like an 8-month management deal.
Nice.
And so I was like, all right, I need to get these guys a couple tours, and then I need to ultimately, quit and then have somebody replace me as far as booking. So, and like Scott would like book as well, but fortunately you guys were stoked on the idea of having them open for you. And then I actually ended up linking them up with our American agent, who like ended up just being a huge fan of them and like has done awesome work. So, and they still laugh at me because I was like, I'm quitting after 8 months. Like this is not my passion. So
it's not fun. Managing a band is like doing everything about being in the band except playing the show.
I know. Yeah.
It's like literally the not, you get to do everything but the fun part.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely have mad respect for booking agents and managers. But
it's I really want to bring a booking agent on the program at one point just to grill him, because I think a booking agent's job is so funny, because you're this person that stays in one place, and it's your job to send a huge group of people all over the fucking place, and you've never been to any of these places, but it's totally your job to make sure that like they have shows in all these crazy places, and like yet you're this person that's maybe never even gotten in a van and driven anywhere. You know, it's such a funny disconnect. And then, agents, once you get successful enough, you do travel to shows. Like maybe you fly out to LA for the big show there or whatever. But still, you're not in the van from Oklahoma City to Minneapolis, and just seeing really what it's like living like that. And I always said that I'm going to book a tour for agents, a speaking tour for a group of agents. And I'm going to send, it's going to be like the, the Steve Miller routing. Like what is it, Tacoma all the way to Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. They're gonna have to drive.
Give an agent a piece of their own medicine. Like, hey, you're gonna do a show talking about booking shows, and then you're gonna have to leave immediately after and drive overnight to Salt Lake City or something.
And you have to load gear. It's not like you can just show up and talk. You have to load all the gear, even though you're not going to use it.
Yeah, but I don't know. We've only ever had 3 booking agents. We've had 2 in the States, and then we've only had 1 in Europe. And the 2 agents that we have now, they are phenomenal people. Like you can really luck out. But you can also have really, really bad agents. And from what I hear, just from friends who are in bands, like, again, we got lucky because we got these guys from the get-go. But a bad agent is apparently awful.
Yeah. The Sword, we've been very lucky in the States. We've had the same agent for, since 2005, I guess. That's a long time.
Damn.
But yeah, in Europe, we bounced around a lot. We had like the big highfalutin guy that drives a Ferrari, and we've also had like the punk kid that just can't put 2 and 2 together. You never know what you're gonna get. Booking tours is weird. It's like the kind of person that gets into that realm, that whether it be PR or a label or booking and stuff, as their motivations are different. It's almost like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I feel like sometimes, and this probably isn't relevant today, but back in the mid 2000s, coming out of the 90s and everything like that, it almost seemed like if a person got a job at a record label, like that was it. Then they stopped working. They're like, I did it. Job complete. I got a job at a record label, and now I can fuck off and do nothing. It really did seem like that. And it was impossible to get these people to do anything in any sort of timely manner. It was just unfortunate. I was like, where are the hustlers? All the hustlers are in the band, like on the road, making shit happen. It seems like, and that's unfair to as a blanket statement, but that was, for the most part, that's pretty much how it was.
I totally agree. I mean, it's still very, very much like that. The guys in the band are like, if you don't love what you do and love touring, you're not gonna do this because, you know, as awesome as it is, it's really, really difficult. It's really hard. Like, it can really suck sometimes.
It's an abrasive existence for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like it turns you into a really hot and cold person.
Yeah. So
yeah.
If you're just kind of on the fence, you know, I'm not really crazy about touring, but then you're not going to be in a touring band, in my opinion. So yes,
it will break you.
People who are in touring bands, they're still very much hustling for sure. Mm-hmm. And I always joke,
no matter what the size, too. Like even the biggest bands, like the bigger you get, the harder it is. Honestly, like there might be some creature comforts that make parts of your life easier, but it ain't easy.
Yeah, but I always joke around saying that. So a touring band nowadays is they just go around the world and they sell T-shirts, and their albums just promote those T-shirts.
Yep. That's I think I said that to Rocky Moon from American Sharks. When he signed his record deal, I was like, "Congratulations, you're a T-shirt salesman now."
Yes.
You know, like it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's still better than anything. I miss touring so much. Maybe we will again. I don't know. The whole worldwide pandemic situation definitely put things in perspective for everyone. But for me, it's forced me to live day to day, which I really don't like doing. I like to plan my life out like 6 months ahead of time and all that. But but now I'm just kind of taking it for what it is. So I don't know. Who knows when it's going to happen again? People keep hitting me up. They're like, "Man, I can't wait to see you guys in July." I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, let's be real here. You know,
we even have dates. We have dates in September and October, you know, that are confirmed. They're booked over in Europe. And I mean, if I can be totally honest, it's like, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I see you, I see you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, fans who are listening. You know, it's just, we'll cross our fingers.
We're just being honest.
Yeah.
Ugh. God, what a mess. It's funny too because like it's made everything across the board. Like, people are just like analyzing everything a little bit more, and I think it's just like, okay, so how much money did it used to cost to make a record? How can we pare that down? You know, budgets are smaller than ever. You know, music itself is really hard to sell. I mean, even before this pandemic, it was already pretty difficult to be in a band. It's just not a sustainable thing. But you know, and it kind of harkens back to it being more of like, you know, a passion project than a viable means of supporting a family and just paying for your life and stuff like that. But it's still in me, you know, and I feel like it's still in you too. Like, even if the bottom fell out and like you just couldn't count on it for anything anymore, I would still play guitar and I would still make songs and put them out there and stuff. It just changes the way everything is done. You know, I'm like, okay, well, how can I do this without paying, like 4 extra people?
Yeah.
You know, just like mix and master and everything like that. Yeah, I've really had to up my like engineering game, and I'm far from professional, but it's been a learning experience in many ways.
Oh, I mean, like I play guitar every single day. I was playing guitar before this phone call, and I don't know. Like, I mean, no matter how much guitar that I play or how many, songs that I write and stuff like that, touring is still so much a part of it.
I know. Like,
if I didn't get to tour, or like, even once me, Parks, and Robbie have like families and like kids and stuff like that, we're still gonna go out. We're not gonna be out for 6 weeks at a time, but we're gonna play the shows that count. And so there's comfort knowing that that's never gonna go away. So other than literally than right now, but in the future and stuff, we've all pretty much talked and we're all on the same page. Like, All Them Witches is always going to be this thing. And to me, there's a lot of comfort in that. And it's like, there might be years in the future where, we won't even play a show, or we'll play one or two festivals, but it's still this existence. Kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
it's like that sick car that's parked in your garage. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
As long as you keep the oil changed.
Yes.
And take her for a spin around the block every so often.
I love that. That is a great way to put it.
But you do have other projects, and that's the thing too. Is like once the band kind of like slows down a little bit to where it doesn't dominate your entire life anymore, you get some more stuff going. So, what do you got going on right now? Is there anything like any songs you'd like to play for us, or any side projects you're promoting?
Yeah. So for a couple of years now, I've had this instrumental kind of super metal weird project called Wood Splitter, and we could probably
it's fucking brutal.
Yeah. We can play one of those tracks. Let's see. I guess I need to figure out which one we'd want to do.
Drop a hot one.
Maybe this is a track off of one of my newer releases called The Uplifting Nature of Your Inner Beast.
This is gonna be rad, y'all. If you're an All Them Witches fan, it's just be forewarned. This sounds nothing like that, but it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and then
good work.
So the track will be. I'll probably just send you the track. Oh, dude, this one is so sick. Hold on. Yeah. It's. The track is called Cake of Ash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pop it over. Cake of Ash. This is incredible. Ben, thanks so much for sitting down with us and just gabbing about life and music and touring and stuff. I just think there's so much to be learned from all this, and I just think that just everyone's perspective is so different that I really appreciate your point of view, and thanks for putting in all the work playing guitar and just like sticking it out in this crazy day and age. For sure. Yeah, and before we sign off, I'm sure we've said this 1,000 times, but like, something as simple as just, picking an opening band to go on tour with you, like you guys picking our band to open that tour with like you and Cadaver, it was literally a dream come true. And yes, I am totally fanboying right now. I don't care. That's all good. that was awesome. You guys are killer. And as close as we got with you guys on that tour, I just have one more little thing to end on. So I saw you guys a couple years. It was maybe like a year or two before we went on tour with you, and I saw you at this place called 12th and Porter in Nashville. Oh, wow. You were at that show? And JD threw out his guitar pick in the crowd, and I caught it. And the whole tour, I had that pick in my pocket, but I was too afraid to go up to him and be like, hey, I saw you guys at 12th and Porter, and I caught your pick. I was just like, oh, dude, he's going to think I'm like a dork or something. You should have. I know. That's what everyone said. That was a great show, man, because actually Nashville was pretty tough for us. Nashville is one of those like really spoiled cities that gets music, 8 nights a week. And it's just really tough to stand out from the crowd. And we played the exit a couple times. It was okay. Played the end a couple of times. We were like, let's not do that anymore. Yeah. And so 12th and Porter was like a weird nightclub. Like bands really didn't play there. I got that vibe. But for whatever reason, like we booked a show there, and I don't know why, but that was the show that like turned Nashville in our favor. So that's really rad that you were there. Hell yeah. It was awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, thanks, Ben. I really appreciate you. Just keep on keeping on, man. We're going to get through this shit. so much for tuning into The Highway this week. A big shout out to Reverend Guitars, Railhammer Pickups, and Earthquaker Devices. If you liked what you heard, you can follow where you can follow, subscribe where you can subscribe, and if you want to go one step further, you can support us on Patreon at The Highway with Kyle Shutt. For a few bucks a month, you can help us keep this party going, get early access to next week's episode, and even get yourself a shout out.